What's going on, everybody? Let me move this forward a little bit. I'm gonna. There we go. Got my cool nickel bolas hat on today. So I got this at the Magic 30 convention that I just went to in Las Vegas, thanks to my friend Damien. Shout out, right? If you look underneath, it's got the Forever Serpent himself under the cap. Nicol Bolas. Got him for some good luck today, hopefully. Um, Anyways, it's been a little bit since I did a stream. The last stream I did was with Parker from Everything Sideways. That was our first non-metal artist, but now we're bringing it back to heavy metal um, with someone I've known for a while, a buddy of mine, Jimi Maltais. I hope I said his name right. He can correct me if I was wrong, but he is the singer of Crimson Shadows. He might be in some other things. We'll ask him. I know him from Crimson Shadows. Um, we've kind of talked a while ago and tried to get him on to the stream. And, I saw him make some post that he plays Magic. So obviously I'm like, well, got to get you on here, right? Um, so we're going to be talking about his career, what he's been up to, because, Crimson Shadows, again, he'll correct me on all this, but their debut came out in 2014 and then nothing until 2020 when they released what looks like a single. So, we got to find out what's been going on during those years. What's he been up to? What's Crimson Shadows been up to? They are a Canadian band. I seem to make a lot of friends with Canadian artists, which I find funny because it's hard for me to get into Canada. So, hanging out with these people gets very tricky. Um, Other than that, right? I think we're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna play a deck I've only played a handful of times. And the deck he's playing I've never seen before. Having a returning player with us, my buddy Jonathan. I don't even know how many streams he's been on now, but I have just sort of a group chat of people I play with online, and anytime I need players, I just, hey, who wants to be on the stream? So we're gonna go ahead and get Jimi on a call here, and get talking with him about some metal, some music, and some magic. All right. So give me 1 second here. Make that call. Of course, I have to resize everything. Jimi. Jimi, hello. Maybe. Well, all right. Good start. Let's let's see what happened to him. Yeah, Jimi, wake up. Oh, he has seen the missed call. What's up, hero? How you doing? Oh, he says he tried to answer. Okay. Well, let's try again. Huh. We literally just tested all this before the stream, but it doesn't matter, right? Wouldn't be a real stream without some problems. Um, I'll have him try to call me. In the meantime, I hope you guys are doing well. How you doing, hero? Hope everything's been going good. Yeah. He says he can't answer, but we think he's scared to play the game, right? Oh, here we go.
Vic-
Hello.
victory.
All right, I just gotta size you up here real quick. How you doing,
Yeah.
man? What was going on there? What just wouldn't let you answer the call?
It was so weird. It was like it was coming right through my phone, and for whatever reason, my phone was just the only thing that could pick it up, but I had it on desktop and it was like, please allow audio and video to connect. And I was like, we just did this.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because when you called it, it was on my phone and my computer, but it let me answer through the computer. So that's very weird. Yep.
Yeah, it worked out for you. But yeah,
This
there.
is
I'll put it on towards this monitor so it looks more like I'm looking towards the camera, I
right.
guess.
Yep. I feel like that's how it goes, though, man. Every time we do the audio test, it doesn't matter. You know, something still goes wrong on the stream because that's when it's meant to go wrong.
It's
You
just
know.
like a show, you know? You could
Yeah.
practice 10 times, and the moment you plug in on stage, you're like, perfect, the microphone's not working. Exactly.
Yep. Well,
Excellent.
it's funny too because when I taught guitar, I don't anymore. But when I was a teacher, I always said like I don't really get stage fright as far as performing anymore. I get stage fright that my equipment's not going to work. You know, especially nowadays when we're using things like Kempers and quad cortex and in ears.
There's so
It's
much more to go wrong.
yeah. It's not like, oh, my amp's out. Let me just throw. It's like, some those who use backing tracks and click tracks, and so it's like this unit. And when one thing, like we just played Hyperspace, I'm sure you've heard of that, the Canadian little festival that Joey does. Uh,
100%.
yeah, so I played with three bands, and two of them went great, but one of them, everything that went wrong could have gone wrong. But it's like, why? It just worked with everything else. And so it's just one of those things. Uh, same setup, same equipment, but something just goes wrong. Yeah,
As is tradition.
as is tradition. But how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about
Good.
you? I haven't seen you, I think, 2015, I guess.
Yeah, the Necrogoblicon tour.
Yeah,
So
man. That
that's
was our
crazy.
first run through the States, our first time through many of those southern places. So yeah, that was definitely a time I'll never forget.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, it's funny. Even before we kind of reconnected to do this, I've often thought of you, and for some reason, I remember this comment you made to me, and I don't know, it's not a big thing, but it was always like a huh for me because I remember you guys were on Napalm Records. I believe you still are, right?
Yeah,
And
we are, yeah.
I remember like just talking to you because at that time Helium Prime was just starting. I didn't know a lot of stuff. Still don't. Still figuring out. But like
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I just remember a comment where you're like, yeah, they don't fucking care how long we take. And so each year that goes by that we don't get a new Crimson Shadows album, I'm like, man, they really don't care how long these guys take. Um,
Yeah, we're really lucky like that. Napalm has always been super great to us. Our A&R rep, I've heard lots of stories about lots of people that just ride them really hard, but luckily for us, we've never really cost Napalm a bunch of money, so it's really like no skin off their back if we stay on the label because it's not like we're actively like siphoning money doing like 10 music videos a year and getting no return for them at all.
right.
So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to fix my
yeah,
lights
so I
here.
mean like a lot of times like, as long as you don't like rock the boat and get canceled by saying something incredibly stupid, uh other than that, like as long as you're good, your music videos are good, and yeah, they're cool with it. So we're really lucky to be on that label.
Cool, man. Yeah, a lot of my buddies are on there these days. A lot of cool, and I thought it was interesting. You see some of these veterans kind of jumping over to Napalm. I remember when I saw Camelot go to Napalm, I was like, interesting. I think Hammerfall went to Napalm too.
100%. Every now and
So,
then I look at the Napalm roster. I'm like, yeah, right. We
you
got
right?
signed. I'm like, technically, I'm on the same label as them. That's what's
Hey,
up.
that's how I felt. That's how I felt with AFM for that short while we were there. It's like, hey man, this is where Ed Guy started. Iron
Yeah, right.
Savior's on
Hell
this
yeah.
label, so it's cool. It's cool to get a brag like that. Like yeah, dude,
Absolutely.
Iron
Yeah. And even
Savior, bro.
still,
Yep.
and I mean, like, half the time it's just like the attitude of how good you feel, and like that'll come across in the music you make as well too.
hmm So going kind of back to that, I was curious. So it has been a while since the first Crimson Shadows album, and so two questions is I was curious: is there a reason it's taken you guys so long for a follow up, and is there anything else you've been doing musically, kind of in between, like to fill in the
Um,
time?
yeah, sure. I can definitely answer both of those. So, shortly after the time when I met you in the summer of 2015, I left Crimson Shadows. It was a little too much for me at the time. I had been doing it pretty much full time for about a decade, and I was just coming up on my 30th birthday and stuff like that. So I was getting pretty burnt out by it. So I needed some time to take a step back for myself. And during that time, the guys they recruited Paul from Blackguard. They're a great melodic death metal band. If you've never heard of them, they're from Montreal.
Yeah, I don't think I've listened to them, but I've definitely heard of them.
Highly recommended. They got stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. All their stuff's really good. If you like Bodum and Kalma and stuff
Oh
like that,
yeah,
it's right up there with that in my opinion personally.
okay.
So anyways, they got Paul and they were doing some stuff with Paul for a bit and they wrote most of this new album with Paul. And then for whatever reason, I'm not too sure. I didn't ask. It didn't work out with Paul, and this was about 3 years after the fact. After I had left, so it was about like mid to late 2018. I had since decided to get a corporate job and do all that stuff because I'm like, if I'm not playing in a band, I'm just going to dedicate myself to work and see how far I can do that for a bit. But
Okay.
I'll be honest, it definitely felt pretty empty
Right.
without the music stuff. Like it's just there's a reason why I did it for so long. Like it just genuinely made me happy, no matter of the fact that like it really made me burnt out. But now we've got a much better balance. Everything's good. But they asked me back in 2018 if I would be interested in coming back, and that was a blessing. I feel like it was almost like a projection because like I was thinking in my head of like, damn, like wish I didn't leave, but
Right.
you know,
But sometimes you got to
uh,
do it, man. You got to take that time for yourself. I get it.
exactly. So for the 3 years that they had with Paul, I'm not too sure. They didn't release any new music there for whatever reason. But I joined back up at the end of 2018, and then at 2019, we were getting back into playing shows full swing and really ironing out the final details of the album. Uh, we felt like we didn't want to release just a full length coming out, so we decided to do an EP where we brought back an old song called "Betrayed by Thy King" and then did a couple covers. We did a Stradivarius cover and a Dragon Force cover and we released that EP in the second week of March 2020, which also something else happened in March of 2020, and
What could that
that
be?
exactly.
That you
So
just
that
made me
was
think of the Bo Burnham Inside special and his song "All Eyes on Me," and he's like, "I was finally ready to come back," and then the funniest thing happened. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
exactly. It was
yeah.
pretty much like that. There's a really awesome venue here in Toronto called the Opera House. It's maybe like 850, 900 people in that venue, and it's got a really good aesthetic in it too. And we were going to play there. We were going to co-headline a show with Unleash the Archers and had that thing sold out for the third week of March. So
Mm,
it was like we had this EP coming out. We've got a big show with Unleash the Archers coming out. We've got the music video coming out. We're like everything's going to be good, and then the whole world shut down. And I know there was a lot of people giving advice that like during the pandemic, you should release music and you should still stay relevant. But at the end of the day, like if we feel that we can't push an album 100% with tours and everything like that, we're certainly not the type of band to throw a bunch of money into the wind and hopefully it catches something with like music videos and playthrough videos. A lot of times we connect with our fans by meeting them face to face and them coming to see us at shows, and then they check us out online as well too. So we just waited until everything was going to open back up. At least as far as Canada is concerned, everything's been open up since about March or April. of this year, maybe a little bit earlier. Stuff opened up, but it looks like it's gonna stay that way. So
Good.
we're actually we're just getting our mix back on our final album. We've got about 6 or 7 mixes of our album where for those who are listening who don't know, whenever you record something, the producer will mix it down and then give you a copy of it, and then you will make notes and then send it back to, like, maybe turn this part up, turn this part like down a little bit, or we can't really hear this part. So you just do like little stuff like that. So you do back and forth stuff, and that's the really nitty gritty part about making an album that nobody talks about. That's definitely is one of the most time consuming parts of
Yeah.
it, getting the mix to sound exactly the way you want. So if somebody who's never heard your music before gets the impression that you feel when you make the music. So, uh, but all in all, it looks like that's all done pretty soon. I believe we just sent our final mastering notes, and we should be getting the final album in a couple weeks. I can't wait, and then we
That's
can find
awesome.
yeah, then we can ship that off to Napalm, and then hopefully we'll do all that other stuff, like make music videos, make playthrough videos, all that other cool stuff.
Cool. Maybe some touring in the future.
Yeah, that's the general idea. None of us have accumulated a criminal record through the pandemic, so
Oh,
we can
good.
still travel. We can still travel everywhere. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So in my younger years, unfortunately, I got a DUI, and that's been
Yeah.
a pain in the butt getting to Canada to
Can you get like a
perform.
pardon for that? How long does that take?
Um, yeah, I have to go through some whole process that I really need to get done because, funny enough, Helium Prime seems to have a pretty decent following in Canada. Every time we go there, we do well.
Hell yeah.
So I'm like, it's probably worth getting that squished and out of the way, so I don't have to keep
Yeah,
dealing
man.
with it.
Yeah.
Plus, like I was saying before you came on, like somehow I've managed to make friends with a bunch of Canadian musicians. Like it just
Yeah.
happens. So it just feels like I'm meant to be there, but they don't want me there. So I'll figure it
No, we
out.
do. We do.
Yep. But to piggyback off another thing you said, like I totally feel you when you said you kind of you got a real job and all that stuff, but something still felt wrong. Like I often say, even on my worst days with music, where I just want to pack it all in because I'm not getting where I want to go or whatever, I almost immediately tell myself I know I'd be miserable without it. So it's like even on the worst day, it's better than a day without it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I guess for someone like me, I just had to see what it was like. I had to live that life and
Yep.
breathe it in day in day out to know that it wasn't for me.
Yeah, but that's why I said like where you're like I wish I wouldn't have left. It's like you never would have found that if you hadn't. So
100%.
and it all worked
It's
out, right?
maybe
You're back now. So
right,
yep,
right,
absolutely.
exactly. I'm pretty lucky that it kind of worked out.
Yeah, I actually kind of remember your post about you leaving, and I was like, oh man, I just played with these guys, and then next thing I knew, because time is a funny thing. It's like he's back. I was like, oh okay, well whatever then. So I must have missed those 3 years where you weren't there, and it felt so much shorter. Probably because I was just so engrossed in my own stuff. But
Yeah, it's the way
so
it happens, right? Yeah, we all
right,
get caught up.
exactly. And so like from the sideline, it was like I left. No, I'm back. So it happened so quick, but here you are. Like so much else happened to you during that time. But you
Yeah, I
know,
honestly think I really grew up in that time.
right.
Dealt with a lot of the over existing issues. Went to therapy. It actually helps. Tell your
Beautiful.
friends.
Surprise! This is a sponsored ad for therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no. But long story short, yeah, I figured out all my stuff, and now it's great. I can't wait to. I know this is like such a cliche thing to say. It's like new album is harder and it's faster and all this other stuff, but honestly, I just can't wait to show everybody like what we've done, because like honestly, the only idea you have of us was arguably the art we created a decade ago. So
Yeah.
like totally, we're totally different people now. We've grown up so much more now, and our influences have completely changed from what influenced us to write the previous album.
Yep.
So
And exactly, and that's the thing. I mean, who knows? We're coming up almost on 2023. It might be 10 years. before the thing is out. I don't know what the plans are, but like you said,
Probably will be. It probably will
yeah,
be. I mean, we're already in November, right? I don't
yeah.
think we're going to be
And
releasing the album in the next 6 weeks.
I was gonna say, as you know, it takes, like you said, like there's gonna be videos to shoot, there's gonna be the promotion. So if anything, 9 year difference for sure.
Yeah.
And so, but that'll be cool, man. Because the first album's great, and so it'll be very cool to see where you guys have gone in 10 years.
Yeah, I can't wait. Especially you have this like I've uh I've played it for some friends, like the mixed down versions of just like, okay, you can't tell anybody like you've heard this, okay? And then I'll just like throw it on and let them listen to it. And there's a certain part in one song that I play for everybody, and everybody smiles when they hear
Nice.
that because it is like a nice ridiculous part and stuff like that. And I'm just like, hell yeah. I can't
Yep.
wait. I can't wait for people to hear this.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. You got a good thing when people are feeling that. So I feel I am my worst like leak. If something gets leaked of my stuff, it's probably me because I'm like that. Like, don't
It's
tell
just
anyone,
you.
even though I'm telling everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I'm excited, man. That's great. So you haven't. So you guys haven't announced anything of it, right? So everything we're hearing. So
Nope.
there's yeah. Okay.
Everything we're just keeping like real tight to the chest and stuff like that. We already have an idea of the 2 or 3 singles we're going to release, and obviously we'll do like the lyric videos, the playthrough videos, and maybe do some behind the scenes stuff while we're doing it. I've definitely been through the pandemic really analyzing how certain bands really kill it with their media production.
Yep.
2 bands that come to mind are Spirit Box and Polyphia are just knocking it out of the park recently. So I was like, and just I'm just that little fly on the wall, just taking down
Oh
notes,
yeah.
looking and just being like, what are you doing? How often are you doing that? Oh,
Right.
okay, right on, right on.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like you mentioned, it's been just about a decade, and things have changed since then. Like it's not just putting out the music anymore. Like we gotta do streams where we have our friends come play Magic with us. We gotta make little TikTok things.
Exactly.
We gotta like there's way more to it now than just let me write some riffs and put out some tunes. And so but I think that's just the industry evolved, and if you're not going to evolve with it, then you're going to get left behind. I
It really is. It's just like evolve or die type
Yep.
thing. But I will admit, I am really bad for trying to be a social media guy. Like, it's one thing for you and I to like chit chat about music. Like, I don't find that stuff difficult, but I've always found it difficult to make all the posts online and do all that type of stuff. I still do it, but I don't do it as often as I should, and I really should get more on that. But it's like arguably like inherently against my nature. I always feel like I'm bragging when I'm
No,
doing like
I'm
that type of stuff.
I'm literally the same way, man. I feel you 100%. Even now, I'm not as good as I should be, but like I try get something out there, do stuff like this. But like you said, like the bragging or the asking, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Um,
it's inherently like against my nature type of stuff. So, but I understand what the beast is
yep.
and what you have to do nowadays. So I'm almost like preparing myself for excuse me, whenever the album push really happens of, oh my God, I'm gonna have to like start posting like five times a day on
Yep.
multiple different platforms and doing AMAs and all this other type of stuff. And I act like it's like hard, but at the end of the day, like when I'm in it, like when I'm like doing stuff like this with you and stuff, it's fun. I do enjoy it. So I think I just need to remember and think about that more.
Yep. I agree. And I think when you have something to push, it's easier. But it's the in
Yeah.
between that makes it tough.
Yeah.
When you still got to do the grind, but you're like you're pushing, but it's like there's nothing quite to push. If that makes sense. Like so, for
100%.
example, I'm trying to get on the Patreon hype train these days, and that's hard for me, man. Like, give me your money. so I can make
I
stuff,
get it.
And I even just filmed a video I'm going to put out for it. And it was not to keep going back to all this, but like I just remember because we were laughing about it because I wrote this whole script, and then we got to this part where I was breaking down numbers, and it was almost the sales pitch part of the video. And the
Yeah,
guy filming me was like, "Okay, you need to do that part again because I could tell you were uncomfortable doing that part because I could barely understand you and you rushed through it." And I was like, "Because I was like, I hate doing this kind of stuff." And so I get it. Is essentially what I'm saying. Like, it's tough, man. I just want to write the riffs and play the music and
exactly.
yeah,
I'm just a musician, and and even still, like, I'm still forever thankful of every fan that we have, of every person that likes our music, because to be completely honest, like, we wrote the music just for ourselves. Like, we just, like, really liked listening to Bodum and Kalma and Dragon Force and Hammerfall and Ed Guy and all that type of stuff. And we're just like, oh, what if it was just like all together? What if there was just like fast power metal, but it had like death metal screaming over top of it? It would just be like power metal with blast beats and screaming. Oh, it'd be like so good.
yeah,
And we did it just because we wanted to do it and stuff like that. And it's forever, like, I've never been a person to be like, I need to have like this many listens a day to feel like validated, or however many like video plays or whatever. Everything that happens to us, I'm forever thankful of it. It's so awesome.
right. My friend Alicia made a quote once, like years ago, but it always stuck with me. And it was so simple, but it was basically what you just said, summarized like, write the riffs you want to hear, you know?
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
really what it comes down to. Like, don't write for other people. I feel like I
Yeah,
tried that and it didn't go well, and lesson learned.
it happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So this backtracking now, or not backtracking, but so I was looking up some videos that so we could watch some here in a little bit together.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
but I noticed you guys played Vakken in 2013, a year
We
before the
did.
album was out. Um,
Yeah.
I'm very curious, like, how did that happen? I mean, Vakken is like the goal for so many. So to do it without even the debut out, I feel like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You
This
know?
is a pretty wild story. Okay. So the reason why we have an album out on Napalm Records is because we played Vakken in 2013.
Okay.
And the reason why we played Vakken in 2013 is because we had a show coming up in Toronto with Ailstorm, I think. I think it was Ailstorm. Um, and there was a Vakken metal battle. And it was essentially, the grand prize of it was you get to go to Vakken and play against a whole bunch of other bands across the world. But all we wanted to do was to play this one Vakken battle because we knew that there was going to be a bunch of other bands, like bigger bands in our area, that was going to be playing that show. And we wanted to just get it out there that we were playing with Ailstorm. So, like, come to our show while we were playing this other show. So we entered we entered this contest, and then we ended up winning the night that we won. So then we go to another round, and then we win again. So then we're like kind of like looking at each other like, yo, do we like actually have like a chance at this shit? um so we end up going into the semifinals, and then at this point, now we're taking it seriously. Like, this could actually be something. So we get into the semifinals, and these are all the best bands in our province. Uh, all in all, I think there's been 16 shows at 5 bands per show, and all the winners keep moving on. So now this is like the best ones in our province. We play that show, we win that one, and then now we have a show where it's 4 bands from 4 other provinces are now coming to our province to play the finals. So we play that show, and by some miracle, I don't know how it happened, we ended up winning that. And then we ended up being the band to represent Canada at the Wacken Metal Battle in Germany, which was happening in 3 weeks. And we didn't have plane tickets. We didn't know anything about like rentals or taking equipment across the border or everything that has to do with that. We didn't even win any money for winning or stuff like that. They're like, congratulations, you won. You have to pay your way to Germany so you can play Wacken, but you get
Right.
into Wacken for free. And I was like, okay, well that's okay. So it ended up costing us, because it was so last minute. I think it ended up costing us about 8 grand, 8 or 9 grand to get us to Vakken. We set up a Kickstarter for ourselves to help get us there, and it got us halfway there. We gave out a bunch of merch and all that stuff for it. Um, so then we get to Germany. We're playing Vakken. We play the day before, and there's 23 other countries that are playing, and we go on stage, I think, at 7:30 p.m. or something like that. So we were like looking over to each other. I'm like, that's not a bad set time. It's better than being on at like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So it's like, okay, like this might like work out. And I don't know. Do you listen to like technical death metal at all?
Not often.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a band that not too long ago that got signed to Unique Leader Records, which is, I know they're a California-based record label, but they're called I think they're called Ophidian Eye, and they're from Iceland. And they
Okay.
recently got signed. They recently got signed to Unique Leader. They are an incredible technical death metal band, and they went on right before us. So the way like the whole thing works is you have to stand on side stage before the band before you is on, so that the moment that they get off, you're ready to get on and go. Because from the moment that they finish their last song, I think you have 25 minutes, and they expect you to change over and be ready to go in about 5 to 7 minutes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so we knew that we could only play 3 songs when we were there, and we were watching this band, and like both guitar players are like harmonized sweeping on 7 strings, and their drummers like blasting at 280 BPM, and we're just like looking at each other like, well, I guess it was like fun to come out, right? Because this band is fucking insane. uh, but anyway, so we go on afterwards. We play our set. You can find it online, but I would recommend not watching it. It is a dry mix off the board, and I don't think I've ever sound worse in my whole life. I actually like don't show people that video, but you're
Yeah, I
more
see
than
it.
welcome
I
to.
got it right here on my screen. We could play it.
Perfect.
No.
Wonderful. I can't wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, that video is out there, and it turns out the next day, so we ended up finishing our set. We go back into the green room tent area, and we just kind of like shrug our shoulders because we think we sounded like garbage, and we think that like the whole set went to shit. And so that night we just got hammered at Vakken, ate like a whole bunch of schnitzel and drank mead. We slept on the ground because when we got there, we were told that we had like tents and lodging. That is not the case. They do not do that.
Mm.
So we slept in a field. We
All
just we
right.
just slept we just slept in the field.
So now I'm just curious, like with your gear.
No, the gear is safe.
Okay.
We are not.
Gotcha. I was just imagining this band in a field, like, and all your gear's just there with you, and like
No, no, we were allowed to check our gear into this like side area.
Okay,
That was yeah, yeah. They gave it's just like a coat check for
gotcha.
bands. You just put all your gear in this white tent area. They give you a ticket and don't lose your ticket.
Right.
So yeah, so anyways, we wake up the next day, we're chilling out, and then we know that they're gonna announce the winner of it at like 2 o'clock, at like noon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we go to it and we're just chilling kind of like at the back of the tent with our arms crossed, and one of the Vakken people like come up to us and say like, "Hey, you guys are the Canadian band, right?" We're like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, come with us. The bands have a place to sit up like ahead of where like the rest of the audience is." And then we're like, "All right, cool." So we go down and they take us right to the front row, like right next to the podium. So like they go and then they show us our seats and we sit down and we just like look at each other and we're like, it's weird that nobody would have sat here, right?
Right.
Like, and we're like, okay. So we go down, we sit down, and then they go through like the top five, and then we ended up winning the whole thing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it happened. Um, and also, if you have Amazon Prime, there is a Vakken documentary that is on Amazon Prime, and that's the year that we won.
Oh
But we
shit.
didn't even we didn't even know that there was a documentary. So it's actually kind of sad because I didn't know the story of a bunch of other bands that were there.
Right.
And oh man, like there's like some of them that are like some rags to riches stories, and then it shows like how disappointed they are
Right.
at the end of it. And I was just like sitting here watching this documentary at home, being like, oh man, I had no idea. I had no idea any of this stuff happened. But
Man. But
at the end, I mean,
yeah,
it's
that's
at the end
that's
of the
no
day,
fault
it's
to
just
you guys, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like we struggled for a bunch in Canada, like doing this stuff for a decade. Like
Yep.
we started the band in 2006, and that all happened in like 2013. So we had already been a band for pretty much a decade at that point.
How
Uh,
yeah, how cool is it that you're like, fuck it, let's do this thing so we can promote our other show with a bigger band, and then you fucking go and win Vakken.
right?
like,
Right? Like how does that even happen? It seems to
but
be that like the story of this band has always just been like the weirdest type of things that always like just kind of work out. Like the only reason we were on that Necrogoblicon tour that I met you on is because we had played with Necrogoblicon at a Toronto show. We played the upstairs of this bar called Sneaky D's in Toronto, and the downstairs Sneaky D's makes amazing Mexican food, especially the enchiladas and the nachos. I highly recommend both of them. You can get them a bunch of different ways, but so after the show with Necrogoblicon, we went downstairs and we just chatted with them and had a few beers with them. And then it turns out like 2 years later, they had remembered us. So when we pitched ourselves for the Necro tour, they were like, "Oh yeah, we remember those Crimson guys from like 2 years ago. Yeah, let's take them out on a tour."
oh
And we
yeah,
were just like, "That is," I'm like, "That's so weird that like you spend 3 hours with somebody for an evening and then 2 years later it turns out into like a tour opportunity."
yeah. But I think the lesson there is just don't be a dick, right? Because they could have just remembered like, oh, those Canadian dicks. Like, nah, we're good. But
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're
um,
not wrong.
but also I think that like that's just still, man, both cool stories because you think about like, what if you guys went into the Vakken thing with the intention to win, so you guys just like overthink everything, and that could almost
100%.
hurt you. But for this, you're like,
Right?
let's just go play. So you guys were just yourselves. Again, going back to like writing for yourselves, you were just did not have any expectations. You just played. This is who we are. Come to our other show, whatever. And then, oh shit, we're winning. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
um,
and then by the time the last two shows, it was very much like, okay, we're gonna treat this like we were playing with Ailstorm or something like that. Like we're gonna walk on stage and pretend like we're a headlining band for these 25 minutes that they let us play. And this might be kind of like a battle of the bands, but it is genuinely a dream of us to play Vakken. And there's still like every now and then I can like close my eyes and just picture, even still, we didn't play the main stage. We only played the side stage, and it happened to just be like 10,000 people, 12,000 people. It's still
that's the fun.
absolute
Yeah, that's the funny thing
insanity.
is the small stages for Vakken are still dreams for a lot of us. Like, you know,
Yeah, exactly
yeah,
right. It's so nuts how all of it ended up working out.
yeah, that's great, man. I think
Yeah,
after
now we
this, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just gonna say, so we played Vakken in like 2013, and now we were talking back before the pandemic, saying that like, it's probably gonna work out that we're gonna play Vakken like a decade after we played there the first time. And now it's looking like if this album gets like released in like January, February, there's probably a good chance that we could try and find our way on the bill of Vakken because that stuff happens in August, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be
Yeah, so
that would be funny. All
that
right,
would be kind of
so
cool.
um, I don't think you mentioned though. So how did this Vakken performance lead to Napalm?
That was part of it actually. Part of winning the Vakken battle was you were actually supposed to get a contract with Nuclear Blast, but we looked at the details of the contract and it was very much not something that I think most bands would be into.
Uh huh.
Uh, so we decided to, well, we attempted to negotiate. They said there is no chance to negotiate, and I was like, okay, well then I guess we can't take it. But because we won that, we knew a couple people who had connections into Napalm and to with A&R reps from there. So just jumping off of from one straight to the other was just kind of pitched ourselves to Napalm, saying like, we're a really small band, we're completely independent, we've been doing it ourselves for a long time. We recently turned down an offer with Nuclear Blast, but we won the Vakken battle. Also, we have a full album ready to go, and we've already recorded a music video for it. And then we just gave them all that stuff, and Napalm's like, "Yeah, these guys got their shit together.
Nice.
Let's give it a whirl."
That's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah, because like they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to like give us, the album was already done, the music video was already filmed. We already had the artwork. So it was just like, okay, so you ready to go? Okay, we'll make a photo shoot, we'll do the design for the booklet or whatever, and then yeah, okay, whatever you want.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I love it. So, yeah, I think we definitely at least got to look at a clip of this Vakken show, though, man. After
Oh no.
talking about it so much, yeah. But what I want to do now, we got about 15 minutes, and then we'll jump into the game. So I did want to look at some videos with you,
Yeah, man.
and so you mentioned you did a re-recording of what was the song
Betrayed
again?
by Thy King.
Okay, so we'll
That
watch
was
that. But before that, we're gonna watch a little bit of this Vakken show.
yeah,
Um,
alrighty. Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have you, if you can see it, kind of jump in
Yeah.
and talk about it a bit. So
Yeah, this
let's.
first scream is really, really brutal because it is just dry off the board, and we could not hear ourselves on the monitors at all. There
Okay.
was, you can see that we have, like, we put our feet up on monitors, but this is, with the exception of our drummer that has the click in
Uh
his
huh.
ear, that's all we can follow. If the drummer's on, then we're on, but my guitar player cannot hear his clean vocals, he cannot hear his lead channel, and
Wow.
I can't hear myself, which is
Okay.
another one of a thing of we're like, I can't believe we won.
Right. Let's check out a little bit of this. Yeah. Oh, here they come, them boys. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the audio's coming through, so that might be to my benefit.
You can't hear that, you're saying?
I cannot, no.
Are you watching my stream?
Oh, oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's probably it.
I'll go back so you can hear the scream, don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
It's okay, little Jimmy.
Yeah. No, it is great to watch this ago, just because of how I don't know. Just I remember what it was like to be there, and I remember what it was like to just look out and just see a sea of people. I'd never seen so many people before.
Right. So, despite the technical difficulties, I mean, how was the crowd? Were they pretty energetic?
Yeah, absolutely. We managed to get a big old circle pit, and Germany actually is not really a country. We've played, because of this and later in our career, we were lucky enough to play Germany a few times. And while German crowds get into it, it's actually pretty rare that you'll see like a circle pit or a pretty heavy mosh pit in Germany. But we definitely had a couple, so that was pretty cool.
That's
But
awesome.
we also had some friends. We had some friends in the crowd who were there that we maybe had a group of 5 or 6 people, so they might have just been the ones starting shit, just pushing everybody.
Right. Hey, sometimes they just need that little push.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was an absolutely great time. Yeah, this was the song we're doing here is Lost in a Dark Forest, which was on an album we released a couple years before our album that we did on Napalm, but that was just an independent release. We've had some people ask us to maybe re-release that, so maybe when we get this new one out with Napalm, we can talk to them about getting our old one as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we have a music video for this too. This was like our very first music video
Nice.
we ever did. Yeah. Yeah, another thing you can also hear one of the guitar players, I think his whammy pedal is down during it, so his harmonies are actually like a full octave above where the where the other guitars are too. Yeah, after this set, he hucked his whammy pedal like a frisbee across the backstage.
Was it the black guitar or white guitar?
Black guitar.
Okay. He's also the one that does the clean vocals, right?
He is,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, we've essentially, with the exception of me leaving for that short period of time, it's been both guitar players, the drummer, and myself, with like a rotating Spinal Tap list of bass players.
Isn't that how it goes, man?
Yeah.
I mean, Archers went through the same thing, I feel like.
Yeah, pretty much. And the funny thing is, though, is the bass player that they have now, they met him because he was playing bass for us when we met you.
Oh my god! That's so funny. Yeah, I love Nick, but I became friends with him when I toured with Archers. So I don't think I talk. I feel like the only two people I really talked to was you and the guitarist that does the clean vocals.
Greg?
Yeah. And so I didn't really remember anyone else. Yeah. But that is funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how like all that works out and how we're all connected.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny actually. We first met Grant and Andrew when they were playing with another band called Archon Legion, and and that band was opening for Hybria. And when Hybria came through town, we opened for them. So it's funny, we had played with Unleash the Archers before when just Britt and Scott were in the band, and they had a few other members. And then we had met Andrew and Grant separately, and now they're all together. And then we introduced them to Nick.
That's awesome. All comes together. All right, let's check out this re-recording of "Betrayed by Thy King," and then we're gonna get into some magic.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to it. Yeah, we recorded this entire music video in about maybe 6 hours on a very cold winter Saturday. I believe it was maybe the first or second week of February. Probably like -15, -20, and we had to get this video out as soon as possible so that we would have media to support our Unleash the Archers show that we had in Toronto that ended up not happening at all.
No. Still, man, 2.13 mil. Oh, that's how many subscribers Napalm has.
Yeah.
Where's the?
We just cracked 100K, I think, on this one.
Nice. Oh, yeah. There it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely a nice little moment.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think we've only got one other music video that was released, and that one has maybe that much, and it's a decade old. So for this one that was only released a couple years ago, and it was through the whole pandemic without any live promotion or anything like that, and still got 100K, I'm like, that's pretty sick.
See, already this gets me excited because the production is obviously a step up from 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a little taste, you know. Yeah. We'll have to do a rematch when the second album's ready.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I can't. I genuinely cannot wait to show you the new stuff for you to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
I think whenever we drop our first single, I think a few people are going to be smiling. 100%.
Hell yeah. So who's this? I'm always curious, like, you know, as someone else who makes music and videos and stuff, like, is this a hired actor who plays the woman? Someone you guys know?
Yeah, no, it was just an actress that was hired, and the gentleman who's the soldier was a stuntman that the director knew.
Oh, okay.
Like that, yeah. It's funny. It's called "Betrayed by Thy King," but the closest we could get was a queen, and we're like, okay, I guess that's fine.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was like I said. It was really thrown together last minute. All the shots and everything, all the storyboards. We put this whole thing together in probably about 10 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we just like had everything, all the ideas, everything written about how we wanted it to look, and this was the best that we could do at the time, and it really didn't cost us that much money either. I want to say that all in with editing and everything, this was probably less than $1,000.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad for a little DIY production. I still think it looks good
Oh yeah,
for what we did. And then hopefully when whenever this new stuff comes out, we can get a little bit of money from Napalm so we can maybe throw it into a couple cool music videos.
right.
Yeah, especially when you can show like if you can show a label that like here, this is something that we can produce on our own with a very minimal budget. So if you actually give us some money, like I'm sure that you can think of the possibilities
Right.
of what we might be able to do.
Gotta respect the back and forth, the solo duel.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely when we're playing live, I like emphasize like one, and then there's like another and stuff like
Right.
that. You're casting the spells
Yeah.
onto them as they as they play all their parts. But we often get comments that like that is our most Dragon Force part that we've ever
I heard it
written.
for sure.
Yeah, you know, you're definitely not ripping them off, but when people can hear who your influences are, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We all take inspiration from something, you know? Yeah.
Exactly, you know, like there's like certainly like all the guys, we all listen to different stuff, but I would say when it comes to metal, I'm really into the heavier stuff, or I've always been a sucker for Scandinavian melodic death metal.
Okay.
So
See,
any
I'm not big on death metal, but I do love the mellow death for sure.
Yeah, I see. I'm not so much into like, traditional death metal, like you know, like Deicide or Cannibal Corpse. Like I have listened to them in
Right.
my past, but now I'm more into like to the tech death stuff. Like in Fairy, I just saw these dudes when they came to town. They came with Shadow of Intent and Enterprise Earth, and that was an incredible show.
So their singer
So
in Fury was my very first guest on my stream.
Stevie?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Stevie is a sweet dude.
Yep.
He just had a baby.
Yeah, I know, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
super happy for him. I was talking to him and Spencer when they came through Toronto a few weeks ago,
uh-huh.
and we were gonna set up a spell table game. So honestly, if you ever get him back on the show or anything like that, give me a shout.
Yeah,
I'll throw some cards with you dudes.
I actually want to because he was my first guest, like, launching my stream. This was before I had this whole Metal the Gathering thing. So now that I kind of know what I'm doing, I want to bring him back for, like, a proper thing. So
Very
that'd be cool. I'll definitely bring you in for that.
Yeah, man, I'd love that. That would be great. 'Cause yeah, him, Spencer, and I like we're at this metal show, and all these people are like trying to take like photos with them, and they have to obviously like do like the band stuff, but every now and again they're just like, okay, anyway, so back to the secret layer, like
Right.
type shit.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Man, even the guitarist, his voice has gotten so much better.
Yeah, yeah. Greg really put in some work, and this is right before the pandemic. So over the last couple years, he's just been playing a lot of guitar at home and stuff like that. Though, so on the new album, there are some choruses where I wasn't there for the recording session when he was doing his vocals, but I was there afterwards when the song was all being put together, and I remember like just looking over at him, just being like, "Holy shit, dude, that's incredible!"
Right.
Yeah, it's always cool when members of your band step it up. They've
Oh,
been
yeah.
even still the guitar work and the drum work is good. You know, now that even still for me, now that like people are talking more about like fry screams and tunnel screams and false chord screams, and I mean, back when we started screaming, it was just high, mids, and lows.
Right.
So, and everybody had their own kind of sound, but now that there's more technique that's involved in it, no, it's gonna be cool.
No, like, there you are. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I can't wait to hear it. I think if that's like a taste of what's to come kind of thing, production alone is sounding killer. Um,
Oh
I,
yeah, it's going to be way better than that because we got the guy who essentially produces Shadow of Intent and Ingested. He just did their album. He did Beneath the Massacre, so like really technical, heavy death metal bands. As a guy named Christian Donaldson, but
okay.
he's never done a power metal album before, so I'm sure he's just kind of wants to get himself out there, and we've always wanted to portray how heavy we are as a power metal band. So I really think we I think us coming together for this project was really awesome.
Yeah. And like you said, you guys already have that dynamic of the heavy meets the power metal, so I think it almost makes sense to just get a guy like this to produce the album. Um,
100%.
why get a power metal guy who I'm sure will do great, but it's like really own that brutal side, you know?
I think that's one of the things that sets Crimson Shadows apart from a lot of others that are in the market. While there are power metal bands that have screaming and they do have heavy parts, I still think that there aren't really any other bands that sound like Crimson Shadows out there. That we just do this mix that's like we're mellow death sometimes, we're power metal the other times, and we just keep weaving between the two.
Right. Yeah, and I love that because I love mellow death and power metal. So, like you, I don't get too much into the traditional. Um, what's the word? Death metal.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love the mellow death. Hold on, I gotta do some audio thing real quick. Um, okay. Whenever I open Spell Table, it like screws up my audio in OBS, so I have to like reset it. Um,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
but yeah, so I love that, and I think that's one thing. Like so for me, all the elements in Crimson Shadows are there. Like the two genres I like the most.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks. I hope you really enjoy this new one. Whenever we get a mix, I'll leak you something that you can listen
Ooh.
to.
On the street. No, I'm just kidding. Um, all right, guys. Give us a second. We're gonna set up spell table. We had to redo a link here. We were having some issues earlier, so hopefully this works. But Jimmy, yeah, I'm gonna get you a link, so I'll see you on the battlefield, my friend.
Alrighty, that sounds good.
All right.
All right.